Today, we're jumping into a real-life medical mystery. It's a story that has it all: a breakthrough cancer treatment, a really frustrating puzzle, and a team of secret agents hiding inside our own bodies that could completely change how we fight this disease.
So let's start with the big question, the one that's been driving scientists crazy. We have these amazing therapies that can literally make tumors vanish in some people. I mean, it's a cure. But then, in other people, that exact same treatment does almost nothing. How is that possible?
At the center of all this is a treatment called checkpoint immunotherapy, or CPI for short. Basically, it's designed to take the brakes off your immune system, letting your own T cells hunt down and kill cancer cells. It's a total game changer, except for its biggest flaw: it's wildly unpredictable.
And that inconsistency, that unpredictability, creates this enormous puzzle for doctors and for patients. Figuring this out has become one of the single biggest goals in cancer research right now.
So you have these two completely different worlds. On one side, there's the incredible hope of a therapy that uses your own body's power to save your life. And on the other, the crushing reality that for so many people, that power just stays locked away. The question has always been, what's the key? For a long time, researchers were focused on the T cells themselves. But what if the answer was hiding somewhere else entirely?
And this is where our mystery story takes a really interesting turn. A team of researchers decided to look for clues in a totally unexpected place, not in the T cells, but in the other major part of our immune system, the part that creates antibodies. And that's where they found them, the prime suspects, the immune system's very own double agents. These suspects have a name: autoantibodies. Now, you probably think of antibodies as the good guys, right? They fight off infections like the flu. But autoantibodies, well, they're different. They get their wires crossed and start targeting our own body's proteins. We usually think of them as bad news, a kind of friendly fire that causes autoimmune diseases.
So this led to a pretty wild question. What if these autoantibodies weren't just troublemakers? What if, in the middle of this high-stakes battle against cancer, they were secretly acting as either allies, boosting the treatment, or as traitors, sabotaging the whole mission from the inside?
To figure it out, they went on a massive manhunt. Using some incredible technology, they scanned blood from almost 400 cancer patients. And they weren't just looking for one or two things. They scanned for autoantibodies targeting more than 6,000 different proteins in the body. It was like looking for a few specific spies in a city of millions.
And you know what? That massive needle-in-a-haystack search totally paid off. The investigation uncovered some really clear patterns, showing that some of these autoantibodies were, in fact, acting as either accidental allies or internal traitors.
And here's what they found. There were two really distinct groups. First, you had the allies. These were autoantibodies that targeted proteins like IF&I. By blocking those specific proteins, these good guy autoantibodies were actually supercharging the cancer-killing T cells. But on the flip side, they found the traitors, autoantibodies that went after different proteins and ended up hurting the therapy, leading to much worse results.
In fact, the effect of these helpful autoantibodies was so powerful, so beneficial, that the researchers gave them a pretty amazing name. They called them natural biologic drugs. It's like some patients' bodies were just creating their own perfect support medicine, and nobody even knew.
And just how powerful are we talking? Get this. The patients who had that helpful IF&I ally in their blood had over 40 times the odds of responding well to the therapy. Let that sink in. 40 times. That's not a subtle hint. That's a massive, flashing neon sign telling you these things are major players.
Okay, but finding a connection like that, even a super strong one, isn't enough in science. You have to prove its cause and effect. The researchers had to show that these autoantibodies were actually causing these outcomes, not just hanging around at the scene of the crime. They had to build their case.
So they followed a really rigorous three-step process. First, find the clues, which they did by screening all that patient blood. Second, take those specific autoantibodies into the lab and prove, in a dish, that they do exactly what you think they do. And third, confirm the whole thing in mouse models of cancer, showing these antibodies could directly impact how tumors grow.
And that whole process, it proved it. Case closed.
These so-called double agents weren't just bystanders. They were active players, right in the thick of it, either helping the good guys or actively working against them.
So this discovery is so much more than just solving a cool puzzle. It opens up an entirely new playbook for how we can treat cancer. So what does this all mean for the future? Where do we go from here?
While the possibilities are just enormous. For starters, you could have a simple blood test before treatment even begins that predicts how well a patient is going to respond. For patients who don't have those helpful ally antibodies, we could develop drugs that mimic them, giving them the boost they need. And for people with the harmful traitor antibodies, we could create therapies to block them. This changes everything.
So at the end of the day, the solution to this whole puzzle might not be a single new drug that works for everyone. It might be a totally personalized strategy, figuring out which secret agents are at play inside each patient and then giving them exactly the backup they need to turn their immune system into a lean, mean, cancer-fighting machine.
And that just leaves you with one final amazing thought. If these autoantibodies, these double agents, were hiding in plain sight this whole time, what else is in there? What other secret allies or traitors are lurking inside our own immune systems, just waiting to be found? The search has only just begun.